Hey, in this one we're going to take a closer look at protectionism, specifically with tariffs and how those actually work. You want to take a close look at the video on commanding heights. I think there was a section that I assigned to you. I think it's the second episode of Commanding Heights. There's only like a 2.5 minute video, part of the whole 2 hour thing. But in that section on India, it'll talk about something similar to this because it happens all across the world and in all sorts of countries and situations. So the question the statement I want to tell you is, why does Mr. Haight drive a Ford, but doesn't want to? I'd rather drive a different car, but I'm stuck buying Fords. Okay, so let's see why. If I go to buy a Ford car, and I've had these experiences, I've driven Fords for many years. My Ford van, I was driving to the county fair, and it blew up. So the engine rod seized up, it exploded the engine, and it completely disintegrated. So I was in the market for a new car. So when I looked and typed in the prices I wanted, all I could find was Fords. Just Fords, forever in that price range. And I said to myself, obviously there's other car makers, so I would really like to buy a Toyota, because I went and looked online and I said best cars, for these years, and it said Toyota, Honda, Toyota. I mean, everything was just these Japanese-made cars. They were one of the best ones. And you can even look online and see which cars are stolen the most, and it turns out to be Honda, Toyota, Honda. I mean, it just goes down the list. So I wanted these good cars that everyone wants. Even the thieves know what these things are that are good, and they've had the highest ratings, they've had the best resale value, they had the fewest problems with breaking down in parts and things like that. So I wanted a Toyota. But all I could find for used cars was Ford. So I upped the price, and finally a bunch of Toyotas appeared. And I couldn't understand why the Toyotas were so expensive. So I did my research, and I found out that Toyotas are actually made cheaper than Fords. A Toyota vehicle costs less to make than an equivalent Ford vehicle. So Ford makes theirs at a certain cost, and Toyota makes theirs at a lower cost. And I said, how could this possibly, why are Toyotas cost more when clearly they really cost less to make? They should be out, pricing Fords. They should be cheaper than Ford. What happens is this: Ford knows this, and Ford is located in the state of Michigan. Michigan is a swing state that could be Republican or Democrat in any given year. So that means they have a lot of power and they exercise it. So in the state of Michigan, anyone running for president always promises Ford, all those auto workers, that they're going to help them get a deal to stay in business. And they're going to put up barriers to trade against those unfair car companies like Toyota, who are going around doing it better than you. And then they never come up with, they don't really want to get into the details, like, you're not a good company, Ford. Okay? But they always blame the other people. Those people over there are doing unfair things, whatever that is. So what happens is you've got Ford making a car at $20,000 a car, and you've got Toyota making a car at $15,000. And I would like to buy a Toyota because we've already established they're a better car, they're a better company, everything's better. Why would I want to ever buy a Ford? What every presidential candidate does, Republican or Democrat, is they continue to put tariffs on the cars. So what you have is you have this $10,000 tax or tariff tacked on to every Toyota. So they come in at $15,000, they slap a tariff on of $10,000 if you want to bring it in, and so in order to make the same profit on the sales, they have to sell them at $25,000. Okay? So, Mr. Haight, teacher salary, I say to myself, well, I don't really want to spend a lot of money, so what choice do I have if I want a cheaper car? I then have to go out and buy a Ford. And they break, and they don't work as well. But what choice do I have? Because if I go for the more expensive vehicle, well, I'm spending all that extra money. Now, some people will say, hey, it's worth it just to get away from the hassles of repairing the car and all those kind of things, and they still buy Toyota. I think Toyota still outsells, I think it's the number one selling car company in the world as of this video. So that's still an option, but who's paying that extra $10,000? See, the politician always says, we're going to punish Toyota, we're going to put a tax on them, and we're going to put that tariff on every car, and that's going to tax them when they bring those cars in. And all Americans go, yeah, some other country's going to pay for our government. But what Toyota does is they don't pay that $10,000. They just put it onto the sticker price of the car so that they have the same amount of profit. This money goes to the government, that's true, but who pays it? The person who buys the car. You need to understand that when you vote for tariffs, you're voting for a tax on yourself and on every person that buys a Toyota. Okay? So, who are the winners and losers here? If we look at that, the losers, the consumer pays a high price if they choose to buy the Toyota, or they get a bad car if they choose to buy the Ford. Who else loses? Toyota loses some sales, because if it's going to be a higher price, people like me will come over here and buy a Ford, and so Toyota could have been making more and more cars and getting more and more sales and increasing as a company. Now we're actually hurting their company's sales. Okay, people have an incentive not to buy Toyotas, they now have an incentive to buy Fords. So these two groups are the losers in this deal. Who enjoys it? Ford loves it. Ford can continue to make crappy cars that people will be almost forced to buy, so they don't have to innovate, they don't have to make things better, they don't have to work harder, they don't have to work smarter, they have no incentive to change. They can just go through the motions and do things like they always have done and churn out some pretty mediocre cars. All right? So Ford loves it. Also, politicians love it, because this is a great way to raise taxes on your own people without your own people understanding they're raising taxes on themselves. They think they're doing this for some patriotic cause, you know? But what they're really doing is they're taxing themselves every time they buy a Toyota that has tariffs on it. So the politicians love it. They get to say they're doing something for you, and they get to take money out of your pocket at the same time and fund their programs with it, and you're none the wiser. Unless you've had this class, now you know. Okay? So, that's tariffs.